If you enjoy what you hear here today, please consider supporting me on my Patreon page. Every dollar helps, and you get to see content that you won't see here. Chapter 37. Changeling War Plans. The first Hive, near simultaneous to the Equestrian War Council. As the ponies prepared for war, they were not the only ones. They were correct in their assumptions that the Empress would soon make her move, but she would not charge blindly headfirst into the fray. She was still a newcomer to that time period, and would be willing to see what her thralls had to say on the matter, and of what information locked away in their little brains could be of any use to her. As such, she had recalled all of the Changeling Queens back into their former council chamber, now her throne room once again. No longer did they have seats of their own, but all stood respectfully before the mighty throne of Empress Immortalis. Queens Xerox, Plastron, Cocoon, Pupa, Tempora, Antennae, Carapace, Acatica, Erisana, Austriaca, Germanica, Nurse, Ingrica, Orbata, Pennsylvanica, Vulgaris, and of course, Twilight Sparkle. Even the two princesses, Insecta and Imperius, were present. And it was in that chamber where it all began. Equestria, Immortalis announced simply, all eyes dutifully drawn to their empress. Ruled over by 3 alicorns, protected by the force known as the EUP, and the birthplace of the elements of harmony. Although, that last part is no longer an issue. Twilight Sparkle was proof of that. You queens and your predecessors let our kind's place in the world fall from grace. But the reclamation is now at hoof, the Empress continued. The zebras, the griffins, the adversaries of old stand in our way, but none more so than the ponies. A once insignificant species has been allowed to flourish in my absence, and they have become our most immediate threat. The Empress paused for another moment, making sure all the queens remained listening to her as dutifully as she programmed them to be. Memories of the last time she had the queens gathered like that were fresh on her mind, and the subsequent betrayal that would bring their kind into seclusion and near ruin in the Empress's eyes. History would not repeat, however, and she felt safe to continue onwards. I am new to this time still, unlike the rest of you, Empress Immortalis noted, and picking through your memories only shows so much. So grasp what little will I am allowing you and feel free to offer advice and suggestions on your own this occasion. It was almost as if a small weight was taken from the minds of the queens at that moment, the fog on their consciousness clearing up, and allowing some thoughts to return that they never knew were even gone. However, no room was left for thoughts of rebellion, only enough to allow a more tactical consideration in the coming conflict. My Empress, Queen Vulgaris addressed first with a low bow. Might I inquire, do you have the basis of our conquest in place? I do, the Empress confirmed. As we discuss these plans, make sure you are transmitting to all the drones across the Hive mind. We all want to be on the same page after all. Confirmation came over that Hive mind. Thousands upon thousands of voices all listening in. All were eager to learn their coming roles in the return of their glory. Very good, Immortalis stated. I, of course, shall remain at this very Hive, for the time being, to direct all war efforts. You queens, however, shall be like generals, and lead our changelings into battle. Our first targets, Queen Cocoon inquired. 3 priority targets for which we begin, the Empress responded. Firstly, Fort Hurricane. It is the closest to what was known as the Equestrian Hive, and those stationed there have seen their share of action where changelings are concerned. It is of great strategic significance to them. I and my daughter can lead a suitable detachment in sacking the base, Cocoon volunteered. We can have a small detachment of our best infiltrators sneak in before the main strike to cause chaos. Too many infiltrators, or those of inefficient skill, may be detected by their countermeasures. We really only need the best for this task. I have infiltrators in mind more than ready for such a task, Queen Twilight Sparkle spoke up. They have already been assigned to you as of this moment. I can feel them, Cocoon responded, a small smirk on her lips as she did indeed feel the presence of those infiltrators ping her over the hive mind. They will do nicely. I concur. I am already transmitting to the changelings who shall accompany you, Immortalis informed the changeling queen. And take Queen Vulgaris and Princess Imperius with you. I want to ensure that that compound is reduced to ash. It will be our honor, Vulgaris dutifully responded, ready to do her Empress's bidding alongside her daughter. The second target, Empress? Queen Tempora inquired, moving the conversation forwards. The Empress let herself smirk a moment, her gaze lingering on Queen Twilight. Ponyville is our second target. It shall be assaulted alongside Fort Hurricane. As the home of the remaining elements of harmony that are loyal to Equestria, and the site of a victory over changelings, it will destroy their little pony's morale should it be raised. Twilight stepped on forwards, eagerness in her steps and a sinister glint in her eye that hid away the internal horror. Please, my Empress, allow me the honor of killing the element bearers personally, she asked with a sadistic grin. What? No! I would never! Twilight Sparkle pleaded internally in her own subconscious, sadly out of reach in her mind. I won't hurt them! I won't! Her soul rebelled with all its might, but her body and mind continued to take no notice. You were always intended to lead such an assault on that pitiful town, Immortalis replied sternly. What better way to break their spirit than have such a symbolic locale destroyed by the very one who made it so? Twilight bowed. I shall see it done. But what of the third primary target? Our intelligence suggests that one element bearer is not currently residing in Ponyville, but the city of Manhattan. Manhattan? Queen Pupa questioned the Empress on her words. But they will be one of the most defended locations in Equestria, right down to the Navy and the overhead Zeppelins. It's suicide! Pupa's eyes glowed even redder for a moment, as she let out a shocked gasp of pain, her legs becoming like jelly as she dropped to the floor. The increased will the other queens had been allowed for their discussion was removed from Pupa for questioning the Empress. No disobedience being tolerated to the strictest of degrees. She would not be given it back for quite some time. As I was saying, the Empress casually continued on, the other queens taking no notice of Pupa as she shakily arose to her hooves once more. This element bearer must be eliminated also, if at all possible. And it gives us another opportunity to crush equestrian morale, especially as this attack will come so soon after Ponyville. Who shall lead this assault, Empress? Queen Plastron inquired. Once more, Queen Twilight Sparkle. Twilight tilted her head. Empress? After disposing of Ponyville, you shall take your changelings and proceed directly to Manhattan, the Empress explained. On the way there, every single one of you other queens shall meet with her, and also proceed to the city. To have all of us there, you must have a specific need for it, Twilight noted. Perhaps a way to destroy the city in one fell swoop? 17 changeling queens and 2 princesses who have themselves reached maturity is quite the magical powerhouse. As apt as your memories suggest, Twilight Sparkle, the Empress complimented. Now you understand why it was necessary for me to provide that little extra will to you. For those who deserve it. The last comment was almost certainly directed at Queen Pupa, who was now loitering near the back of the crowd. So, Queen Twilight, the Empress continued, show me how valuable that mind of yours really is to me. How do I intend to destroy Manhattan? Even with all of us, destroying a city of that size would take time, energy, and effort, Twilight noted. No, this has to be something that has to be done within moments. The combined magical energies of the queens onto one strike could destroy portions of the city in single blows, cause great casualties, but it would still take some time to complete. During that time, evacuations could be conducted and distractions could be made by the EUP, even if they have no real hope of stopping us. Go on, the Empress encouraged, listening with interest. However, Twilight spoke again, obliging the Empress, such a combined strike would produce a considerable shockwave, and in the correct place, could cause a desired chain reaction. The Bay. Exactly, the Empress confirmed. Could you inform the uninitiated what exactly would happen? Of course. A shockwave of that size would cascade through the water, causing severe waves to form. In essence, the explosion would create a form of tsunami. Short range, but not short enough to spare the city, Immortalis finished. Their fleet would be destroyed too, and the waves would claim much of the unprepared inhabitants and destroy just about all infrastructure. That would leave only the Zeppelins and those few straggling survivors for the drones to mop up. There is still the likelihood that some ponies will escape in the chaos, Queen Arisana pointed out. And in every other option, Immortalis rebuked. No plan is without its flaw, but this strike will minimize those opportunities. Those might be the primary targets, but shall there be any others during this time period? Queen Austriaca inquired. Indeed, Immortalis once again confirmed. Las Pegasus and Vancouver, two populated cities like Manhattan. Send sizable forces of drones to each. Wresting control of each city will take time, much like it may have done with Manhattan, but at the very least, it will strike terror into the hearts of the inhabitants. They will know they are no longer safe, no matter where they live. And should the EUP hold their ground? If it becomes required, I shall have our drones fall back to other locations, Immortalis stated. But I care little for those outcomes. They are but side projects. You do realize that with this level of destruction, the princesses will almost certainly come for you directly, Twilight pointed out. Especially when they see you aren't present on the battlefield. And falling our forces back to this Hive for defense may give Equestria time to regroup and counterattack. You won't have to fall back our entire force, Immortalis factually stated with a snide grin. You say they will come here? I am counting on it. They will try to kill me, but I have plans for that. Their emotional attachment will be their downfall, and they will fail. And when they do, they will leave Canterlot wide open. And once their princesses in the capital city fall, the rest of Equestria will quickly bend the knee to you, Twilight noted. It would leave just the Crystal Empire. Crystal Heart would be a problem, but any problem can be solved in time. And we will have plenty of that once Equestria belongs to us, Queen Cocoon added. Indeed, Immortalis agreed. Once our power in Equestria is consolidated, plans can be drawn to deal with the Crystal Empire and beyond. Our newly faithful pony should be of assistance in that matter, one way or another. And the war could be over very quickly indeed, barring incidents occurring, Twilight stated. Plans are only as good as those enacting them, Immortalis said, a hint of warning in her tone. Make sure that you are all worthy of those plans. I do not want to have to prolong this conflict needlessly. The queens all silently confirmed, the hive mind conveying their understanding well enough. One last thing, Twilight spoke up again. There is always the chance of their surrender, however remote. Immortalis eyed the changeling queen. Go on. My presence at your side may have shaken Princess Celestia, not to mention the deep threat to her ponies. She may decide to simply surrender to spare them, Twilight suggested. It's unlikely, I will admit. And even if she does, she may be prevented by her sister. But it may be worth the attempt simply to spare the resources of an invasion if successful. It would be a simple matter. I don't see why not, Immortalis agreed. It is only sporting after all, and it would be wise of them to submit to the world's natural order. Then we should send an envoy to Canterlot immediately, the changeling queen stated. And while that occurs, we can be prepared to make our move in the likely outcome that they refuse. Which they will! They won't let you do any of this! The Empress seemed to take no notice of Twilight's subconscious outburst, and she dismissed the queens from the throne room, all moving to carry out their upcoming roles in the war to come. Internally, however, the Empress said one simple thing to the true Twilight Sparkle that remained buried so deep by Immortalis' influence. Not me, Twilight Sparkle. You.